Well, hello. It felt time for a little chatty ramble again, or chamble. I think this is the fifth one I've done, so feel free to look back at the other four if you wish, if you haven't seen them yet. I was in the other four wearing a hat each time to change up the outfit because I was wearing the same top pretty much every day for 3 or 4 days. Couldn't find another hat, so I've gone hood. It looks quite weird, I'm aware of that, but I'm committing wholly to the chatty ramble in the hood, or the chamble hood. Oh, nice. And maybe does it look better with the ear? Oh no, that's very peculiar. I look like I could play Mary Magdalene. I tell you what I do look like. I look like how I looked when I was 9, and my ears were definitely too big for my head at that point. I'm pushing them forward now. My ears have come in line with my head now. Maybe we'll do one ear. No, we'll go back to full hood. So apologies about the look, but I'm just committing to headgear as part of the chambles. As you can see, Peggy the dog seems fascinated, gripped by my conversational rambles. So, as ever, completely not prepared anything. That's what the chambles are about. I've no idea what's going to pop into my head next. This is what makes them so bespoke in these times. Oh, I know. The last chatty ramble chamble that I did was talking about meeting your needs, and I had a look at a few comments, and there were a number of people saying, how do I stop feeling guilty about meeting my needs? And the first thing would say, just stop it. No, yeah, I was mentioning that it's very easy for a lot of us to sort of go, I'm fine, I don't have needs, let me just care for other people, and people in that state wear themselves down, and their energetic, financial, physical, mental, emotional resources can just slowly reduce, and that's what we end up calling burnout, because you're just giving out too much, charitably or at work or socially, whatever way, feeling like, oh, I should be doing more, should. Hate the word should. Take it out of your dictionary. Replace it with could, want, need. No shoulds, oughts or musts, please, not on my watch. So yeah, there's no point in wearing yourself down and out because you think you're doing noble and good things, because you're not being the best version of yourself to serve. So, and also you're ignoring very important needs that are biologically essential for holistic well-being. So there can never be any guilt in meeting your own needs and taking time and listening to what's going on inside for you, because that way you're being the best at loving and giving. So yeah, it's just culture that has taught us that we should say yes all the time and give out, keep working, be productive, be successful. But if you're constantly battling fatigue, I nearly said battling fatigue there. I'm clearly battling fatigue by getting battling fatigue wrong. Then that's an indication, or if anxiety is starting to come up, then that's an indication that you're not meeting your needs, and then you're not serving at the best. So yeah, here's a well, I was going to say, you just have to slowly realise that it doesn't actually make any sense to feel guilty about meeting your needs. Because going back to also another analogy that I said is, imagine if a loved one, like this is my isolation buddy, if she could speak, or my loved ones, friends, family, were saying, God, I'm just so tired, I'm really worn out, I think I'm coming down with something, bad analogy in the current climate, I just don't feel I can go on, I just wish I could have a couple of days to rest, I've just done too much. You wouldn't say, no, I'm sorry, get up off your bed, I'm not allowing you to rest, get on, get out there. It's just completely irrational and illogical. You'd say, of course, you've done so much. I'm glad you're listening to your body. I'm glad you're listening to your emotions. Have a rest, chill out, and regroup and play the long game in life. This is hopefully the plan is we all live a long and fulfilled life. So you have to take it steady, and give yourself time to rest. So Parker J. Palmer. That was a bit of a random segue, but there is a reason. I'm suddenly aware of the hood. It's a very strange look, isn't it? I'm committing. I'll do one ear. I'll change it up and do one ear out. Hi. This ear just wants a little bit of a breather. Parker J. Palmer is a fabulous writer. He's a Quaker. That's sort of by the by, really, but he's just very wise. He's quite old now, I think, like 80s, I think. So he's had many years' experience, much life experience to impart. And he wrote one of my favourite books that I go back to time and time again, called Let Your Voice Speak. Oh my gosh, I really am tired if I'm just Googling. Talk amongst yourselves. I should have sort of hold music. Talking of which, is there a theme tune perhaps for the Chambles? Is there anyone out there who's a musician who's currently needing some entertainment, who's not working at the moment, who wants to come up with a theme tune for the Chatty Rambles? Chatty Ramble, chat. Peggy's packed up. Chatty Rambles, chat. You see, I do not have the skill set to come up with a theme tune. Although there's a starting point if anyone wants to try it. Chatty Rambles. It was called Let Your Life Speak. Of course it was. I mean, it's one of my favourite books. I'm not going to get that wrong, however tired I am. So it's a very short book. It's really a sort of long essay. And if anyone's suffering from depression at this time, then the second half of the book is he goes through his experience of depression, and it's so beautifully written and simply written. And the first half of the book is about what vocation really means, what your kind of life purpose, not that he would use that word because it, as Liz Gilbert would say, it puts too much pressure on to find your purpose, and I agree with her. Another resource, have you seen Liz Gilbert's TED conversation recently? So calming, so wise, so brilliant. She's done lots of TED Talks, so if you Google it, just find the most recent one. It's about an hour long, but it zips by. And Elizabeth Gilbert, TED conversation recently. So back to Parker J. Palmer. He says in Let Your Life Speak, this is about feeling selfish, meeting your needs. He says self-care is never a selfish act. Yes. I know what that was. It's because I stopped myself aging myself with doing a drop mic. Self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have. Peggy, can you not itch yourself while I'm talking about a marvellous quote? I'll start again. Self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer others. Any time we can listen to true self and give the care it requires, we do it not only for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. Boom. Bosh. He's saying the only gift that we're put on this earth to do is to touch other people's lives in whatever way we do. And again, don't put yourself under any pressure, particularly in these times, to do that. That might, in these times, simply just getting up and getting through the day. But so therefore, self-care in the guise here of meeting your own needs, well, that is what self-care is good stewardship of your life. And I think that's really resonating now, because there are people who are losing out their lives. There are people perhaps watching this who've lost somebody to the coronavirus recently, and you know, life is really precious. It's just really awakening us to that in such a major way at the moment. And so to steward your life the best you can is the greatest gift you can give yourself and therefore others. So yeah, I think, again, not being trite when I say good can come from this, because I'm wholly aware of the amount of suffering that's going on globally, not just with people getting ill, but economically, socially. It's putting a huge strain, but I think it is our time to breathe and stop and go, what is important? What do we need to change? What do we need to get back to? Talking of which, where is that quote? Talk amongst yourselves again. This is my on hold music. Oh, I hope I've still got it on my stories. On it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Sonia Renee Taylor. This is written by, I'm afraid I hadn't heard of her before. Forgive me if that's incredibly naive. This is an amazing quote. We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalised greed, iniquity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate and lack. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. Oh, I've gone a bit almost teary and definitely goosebumpy, but I think whenever we get affected by a quote in that way, there's a physical response to it. It just shows that it is true, that it speaks to the very core of who we are, and there was so much wrong with before. And let this be a chance for us to change what needs to be changed and come together. You know, I think it's great. I saw on Twitter this morning, because I posted, I shared with the world that a marvellous experience, and I think one of my greatest achievements this morning, that I farted unexpectedly and made a passing dog jump. Oh dear, I amused myself. So I was just I had a quick browse on Twitter. I've actually stopped watching or listening to any news now, because I find it makes me anxious now. But I saw that a lot of people were going to clap for Boris at 7 p.m. tonight, British time, because whatever your political views, he is a father, a husband, a brother, a son, a human being. And I think the clap for Boris is acknowledging all those people who are really unwell with corona at the moment, and us all coming together despite all our political differences, and just saying, human being, we're all human beings. That for me is why I will be clapping at 7. What was I talking about before? She's scratching it. It's not her nether regions, it's not her bottom. I'm going to swap ears now. It's a very strange look, isn't it? She's just having a little lick, but I do find it quite rude. Of course, I've forgotten I was talking about Twitter. Yeah, I've forgotten what I was talking about before. It's a shame, isn't it? But this is what the Chatty Rambles are all about. Wisdom within, some silliness. So I can't remember what I was talking about before. But I'm going to read you 2 more things, and then I shall hop and pop off. What was I talking about? I'm sure it was relevant. It was talking about Twitter coming together anyway. Oh yes, not going back. Brilliant. Got it. Not going back to the normal. And yeah, the clap for Boris, meaning I think that's part of let's unite. You know, let's come together. Let's acknowledge our our togetherness, not our differences. But yeah, boy, was that quote arresting. I'll put it up on my feed again. And I just think we need to try and take this chance to make change. I just dread it all going back to normal. It's a very, very interesting time in history. There's somebody else that I mention a lot that I love called Martha Beck, who's a sociologist and a great teacher, and she's actually doing a very reduced price course at the moment, which sounds fantastic. So if you've got the resources to do a, I was going to say self-help course, but the word self-help can be misleading. She's probably one of the only people I really recommend on that front. Then get thee to Martha Beck. Anyway, she read something yesterday that said that over the course of history, every pandemic that's happened has led to massive social change. So there's always hope. Right, I'm going to leave you with two things. I read some Richard Rohr the other day, a Franciscan monk who is just so wise and so clever and so brilliant. And yeah, I just wanted to read this in case it helps anyone. We need a still point in this twirling world of images and feelings, especially in a time such as ours. If we are tethered at some centre point, it is amazing how far out we can fly and not get lost. This true self, this centre point, this true self, is characterised by contentment and abiding low-level peace and happiness. Every now and then it becomes pure joy. So I'm just sort of, it's so long that I'm just taking bits out of it. We have been told that we must be self-made, that every person is out for themselves in a dog-eat-dog world, vying with one another for zero-sum dignity and importance. Instead of comparison, envy, competition and scarcity, authentic spirituality is an experience of abundance and mutual flourishing. We are tempted to count only our material and ego gifts, which decrease with usage, whereas spiritual gifts actually increase with use. In ourselves, in those around us, and by spiritual gifts, he means love, care, giving, generosity, kindness, fun, play, joy. If we have no foundational significance, we must constantly attempt to self-signify and self-validate. And that sentence, that's what it all boils down to. If we have no foundational significance. So the book that I'm writing about well-being, which will eventually be out there, I say at the beginning that if anything, this book could be about just simply identity. Like, what is your identity rooted in the fact that you are wholly loved and accepted and approved? Because from that is the still small voice. He, by the way, because it mentions God later, is coming from a Judeo-Christian tradition, just so that you know. So yeah, if we have no foundational significance, if we have no centre of self-acceptance and love, we must constantly attempt to self-signify and self-validate. Everyone then is a competitor and rival. We cannot help but be pushed around by our neediness and judgments, and we will push others around too. If we have no unshakable experience of divine approval, we will be lost in fragile, momentary experiences of victory, i.e. success, career, jobs, whatever, that cannot be sustained or really enjoyed. We must find our North Star inside our own little comparative systems, or we will be lost in rivalry and daily defeat. Again, goosebumpy and slightly teary. Our importance is given and bestowed in this universe as part of the unbreakable. Let me see if I can just. Surely God holds medical workers and first responders close to God's heart right now as they put their lives on the line to support us all. The courage they are showing is the kind of courage that comes from knowing the value of life. I pray we might all operate from that place as we struggle through the coming days. It's just so beautiful and so true. And perhaps I'll chamble more on identity later, but I'm also aware that I've got to finish my book, and this this is really helping me, and because I'm on my own now, isolating, just chat to you. Talking out your emotions, by the way, if you're feeling anxious, can really help. Dr. Caroline Leaf is another really good person to follow on Instagram and Facebook. And she did a post yesterday about how just voicing, even out loud, even to Peggy, or just saying it on a voice note, even if not speaking face to face or on FaceTime, but just saying I'm really scared because, or I'm feeling really sad because, it really settles the brain. I don't know what the science is, Dr. Caroline Leaf will tell you, but it really changes the negative bias in the brain, and it kind of gets it out and is a release, and it's sort of a way of processing the thoughts so they don't get stuck in that fear thing. It's amazing. Can't remember what I was saying before that. My memory's a bit worrying. I've had a few messages from people going, your memory's a bit worrying, I know. I think it's just because there's so much on my mind, and so much I want to share. Oh yes, I know what it was. Good. I do remember each time, but I was saying that I could be writing my book instead of doing this, because it's about identity, but it feels like a good thing to do. So my final thing for the day, somewhere I'm over 20 minutes, this is a poem by John O'Donoghue, and it is for anyone who is feeling exhausted. When the rhythm of the heart becomes hectic, time takes on the strain until it breaks. Then all the unattended stress falls in on the mind like an endless increasing weight. The light in the mind becomes dim. Things you could take in your stride before now become laboursome events of will. Weariness invades your spirit. Gravity begins falling inside you, dragging down every bone. The tide you never valued has gone out, and you are marooned on unsure ground. Something within you has closed down, and you cannot push yourself back to life. You have been forced to enter empty time. The desire that drove you has relinquished. There is nothing else to do now but rest, and patiently learn to receive the self you have forsaken in the race of days. At first your thinking will darken and sadness take over the listless weather. The flow of unwept tears might frighten you. You have travelled too fast over false ground. Now your soul has come to take you back. Take refuge in your senses. Open up to the small miracles you rushed through. Become inclined to watch the way of rain when it falls slow and free. Imitate the habit of twilight, taking time to open the well of colour that fostered the brightness of day. Draw alongside the silence of stone until its calmness can claim you. Be excessively gentle with yourself. Stay clear of those vexed in spirit. Learn to linger around some of ease, who feels they have all the time in the world. Gradually, you will return to yourself, having learned a new respect for your heart and the joy that dwells far within slow time. And I think that is a poem for now, John O'Donoghue. It says everything really, doesn't it? And you might want to listen to that again or Google the poem and read it a lot, because he's saying come back to the now, come back to your senses. And I regularly do that. I did that every day, and I'm doing it on some days every hour now, just looking around and naming what I'm grateful for, from the smallest things, what I can see, what I can feel, what I can hear, and just going, this is okay, I'm safe now in this moment. And I'm rooted in the fact that I am loved, and I am approved, and I am accepted, and I'm allowed to meet my needs. And therefore I really hope you can too. This could be a marvellous new journey amongst all the suffering. There If you like this t-shirt, the Gallopon t-shirt, suddenly gone to promoting merchandise. I only promote it because any of my revenue from my shop, the mirandashop.com, goes to 2 charities that are supporting people with chronic illness. I'll probably do another Chamble on chronic illness. I think you can get that book from there as well. This book, Miranda's Daily Dose of Such Fun, of which I've seen a couple of people are doing every day and trying to amend it where necessary. Today's doesn't need amending. April the 7th. This is a very silly one. By the way, all my proceeds to this go to Comic Relief. The charity's Comic Relief Fund, supporting vulnerable people who are ever more vulnerable during the coronavirus. People suffering from domestic abuse, the elderly, people suffering from mental health problems. So anything I'm promoting is going to charity. April the 7th. Is the bedroom department getting a bit stale? Well, at the moment it's just me and Peggy, so... find some animal noises online, line them up to play on your phone. Just as your partner is getting into bed, press play. Give them the fright of their life as there'll suddenly be a lion roaring or an owl hooting. Such fun. P.S. You never know, this may end up making you feel a bit more animal in other ways. Cheeky. Not the greatest example of this, still quite fun, but I did have to come up with 365 ideas. So sometimes they're less good. But anyway, that's for Comic Relief. Wow, that's my longest chamble yet, 26 minutes. I'm going to dare to not listen back. As ever, just pop it out there. If it helps, great. I'm now going to meet my need by having a cup of tea, a little rest, and then getting back to my writing. I'm so glad people sound interested in this book that I'm writing, which is, I keep trying to go, I'm going to be collating all the universal therapeutic approaches, i.e. all the things the self-help industry is talking about, all the things that therapists, doctors, neuroscientists, spiritual teachers are talking about, and collating them into 10 easy chapters, because I think the self-help industry is completely overwhelming and there are sort of books on specific subjects. So I'm bringing them all together, which is what I needed to do for my experiences. And yeah, I really hope people are going to enjoy it once it's out there, once I've written the darn thing. It's been 5 years in coming. Listen, take care, speak soon, lots of love. Love you, bye. I'm trying to switch off and aware of this very strange look and angle.